7, I'm fat as fuck. I do the same thing. Quit eating food, Constantine. That's gonna solve your problem. You quit eating so much fucking food. I don't eat a bunch of fucking food.
Wait, I should move my face.
Anymore? Yeah, because I had hundreds.
I think it's a problem. Also, I'll explain what parsing is in case you don't know.
I got my food.
This video is a little different than my normal
he moved
guide
his
content,
face.
So if you like this video, please go down below and leave a like.
Why is it that every guy that's from Classic WoW is like a middle-aged man that's balding? And you know that's why he's wearing the hat. Like, and I mean, look, I'm not trying to roast you, man. Like, I understand it. But, like, damn, how is it so fucking consistent?
Wait, same hat. I can't do same hat.
Or subscription to the channel. It will help me know if you guys want more content like this in the future where I talk about the game in a more general way.
Okay,
Without further ado, let's start with answering what is a
I'm gonna be honest, like, look at that gear right there. I don't know what the fuck dagger that is, but it's not the Algalon dagger. No wonder this dude hates parsing.
What? He don't even know the Algalon dagger isn't even bis.
Assigned to your individual performance on a boss by
Shit talking my goddamn dagger.
It is a ranking comparing your performance against the performance of all other players of the same class and talent specialization for that boss.
Yep.
A 99th percentile score means you performed better than 99% of other players that you're being compared to. There are some immediate implications for this. Since a parse is a measure of how you compare to others, if you do the same DPS one week as the next, and the average player does slightly more DPS the next week, as is often the case, your parse will be lower, even though you did the same DPS.
Right.
If other players are using specific talent specializations or entire raid strategies designed around maximizing their parses, and
I used to do this, but my guild didn't know it until the pull started.
Herald of the Titans has been defeated by our brave comrades.
You and your raid are not, you'll be at a disadvantage and parse lower using normal talents or strategies. Parses usually impact players playing World of Warcraft by some groups requiring players joining the group to have parses above a certain level. They do this to filter out players they don't think will contribute much to the success of the team.
Problem solved.
As you'll see from this video, that system isn't perfect, but no doubt it's better than doing the same thing with gear score. The first problem, and I think the main problem, is that strategies optimal for scoring a high parse often differ from strategies optimal.
Well, he's right about this. The problem is that people that parse higher are probably going to be better on average than people that parse lower.
Yeah, that's true.
That doesn't mean that you're good for parsing higher, but pretty much every single person that's very good is probably parsing at least kind of high.
Yeah.
And bad players never parse high.
I think I didn't really emphasize that point enough in the video. It's like, this isn't a perfect system, but it's like, yeah, if you got a 90 parse player, like 90 or above, like, they're probably good. And as you get down lower, like, they're probably not. Right? Like, it's just that it's a good enough system to determine if someone's, like, playing good or not.
The boss. Warcraft Logs has their own set of rules for what counts and what does not count for damage output on each boss. I believe Warcraft Logs tries to align their parse rules with raid optimal strategies as much as they can, but parse-oriented players will always plan strategies strictly around the parse rules, which often diverge from raid optimal strategies.
That's right. You never listen to the raid leader. You never listen to the raid. You never read the fight. You never listen to calls. You never follow DBM. You hit the boss. And if there's ads up, you AoE the ads, but only if the ads will increase your parse. If they won't, you don't AoE the ads. You keep hitting the boss. Unless hitting the ads increases the damage that you do to the boss, in which case you kill the ads.
He's forecasted the Yogg-Saron strategy already.
And this meant that usually the optimal parse strategy was the same as the optimal raid success strategy. With significantly more complicated bosses in Wrath of the Lich King, we see a greater divergence between parsing strategies and raid success strategies. For example, the swarms of dozens of small cats summoned on Oriaya do not count for your damage parse on that boss according to Warcraft Log's parsing rules. A player trying to score a high parse would not press their AoE ability to quickly dispatch them, whereas a player trying to maximize the success of their raid would see a clear opportunity for effective use of AoE. killing those.
I'll cut the memes. Parsing is bad for the game. And if you
Yep.
took parsing out of WoW, the game would be a better experience for average players. Because
True.
people don't play to kill the
True.
boss. They play to do a lot of deep.
Parsing is bad for the game. There's a bunch of people that commented below this fucking video, and they're like, game is too easy. Parsing is the only thing that keeps me interested. And you know what I have to say to those people? Fucking leave. Don't play the game. If you're literally only playing this game because you think, okay, I mean, whatever, you could do what you want, but it's like, come on, just fucking leave. Don't play it.
PS. It's like whenever I said don't attack the boss at the start yesterday, whenever we were doing some raid, and everybody, as soon as I pulled the boss, I'm gonna parse on this fucking Shadowlands boss right now. Yeah, it's just that simple. It's fucking annoying, but there it is.
Those cats quickly and minimizing the damage the cats deal to the raid. Another example of the conflict between optimal parsing and optimal raid execution can be seen on the most difficult version of Yogg-Saron, what is known as Zero Lights. In this version of the encounter, the immortal guardians in the third phase are actually immortal and cannot die. Early on, it is good and useful to deal damage to them because when they have lower health, they deal less damage to your tank. Eventually, your raid will have too many guardians alive and begin kiting them and attempt to burn the boss down quickly. At this point, dealing more damage to the guardians is not helping your raid succeed at all. Under
but you know what it is helping?
Rules, all damage dealt to the immortal guardians counts towards your parse. A player looking to help their raid have the best chance of killing the boss will ignore the guardians once they start being kited and focus on the boss. A parse chasing player will see the juicy AoE opportunity and spam Fan of Knives, Seed of Corruption, or whatever AoE spell they have on the huge pack of immortal guardians, which means they deal little or no damage to the boss, but maximize.
And then everybody's gonna see that parse, and like a year later, here's the thing. Nobody's going to remember the nuance of how the parse happened. They're just going to see that 100, and they're going to be like, wow, this guy's really good.
Yep. People don't tend to look into any more detail.
Individual player. You can find examples of ability usage that differs between someone trying to be the most valuable they can be to their team and someone trying to score high on Warcraft logs. The rogue ability Tricks of the Trade is a good example. It costs 15 energy and buffs another player's damage by 15% for 6 seconds. This is easily one of the most efficient ways a rogue can convert energy to damage, and a good rogue playing to maximize the team's performance will press this almost every time it's available. However, under Warcraft Log's rules, the damage increase from Tricks of the Trade is not attributed to the rogue who cast it or to the player who receives it. It's factored out. A parse-oriented player will forego this exceptionally efficient way to increase raid damage because it spends 15 energy.
It's like throwing away 15 energy. It's pointless.
On something that does not increase their own
He's totally
parse.
right about everything.
Instead, they can spend that 15 energy.
Whoa.
That contribute.
It's pointless.
On something that does not increase their own
He's totally
parse.
right about everything.
Instead, they can spend that 15.
He's totally right about everything he's saying. Let's enjoy that for a moment. True. What Dylan says, damage should go to the rogue. Actually, I think so. There's basically like 3 options that Warcraft logs could have done to handle Tricks of the Trade. They could have said, like, damage goes to the person who cast it on. In other words, like, no change to what the in-game damage meter would say. They could have said damage is attributed to the rogue who cast it. Or they could say, you know, no one gets the Tricks of the Trade damage, which is what they went with. Each of those options has, like, negative effects and, like, parsing cheese related to it. If you attribute the damage to the rogue, then the problem is every rogue wants to be the rogue who gets to tricks the Demo Warlock during heroism, during their metamorphosis and power infusion or whatever. Because that's the biggest, juiciest Tricks of the Trade. And then, like, it's a significant disadvantage if you aren't the one rogue who is allowed to, you know, Tricks of the Trade, the Giga Pumper, whatever. I mean, they were all bad options, and frankly, like, I think they chose the least bad option, but it still has this negative effect on how players play.
15 energy on an ability that contributes less overall to the raid, but improves their individual parse. Many defensive abilities are met with, that's what healers are for, and not used by parse-oriented players if the defensive costs them any amount of damage output.
Or
a player who
GCD.
recognizes they are part of a team will make efficient use of defensives to reduce total raid damage taken, which allows the healers to devote their attention elsewhere, or even just bring less healers to the raid. I could go on and on with examples of parse-oriented strategies that differ from raid success-oriented strategies, but I think you guys get the idea.
Yeah,
as fights become more complex, the optimal parse strategies and the
this happens in retail WoW. If you took damage meters out of retail WoW and parsing didn't exist, it would nerf the raid by a factor that is greater than any Blizzard nerf on any fight ever. And it would nerf every single raid that way.
What he's saying by nerfing the raid is like, if the damage meter didn't exist and players were not focused on the damage meter, they would instead focus on being good players. And just because of the attitude shift of all the players like that, the game becomes that much easier. As he said, like, bigger than any nerf Blizzard has ever applied to the game.
Strategies diverge. The way I see it, you have a divide in the community with two types of players. You have some players who are interested in optimizing their individual score according to rules set by Warcraft logs, and you have other players focused on being an effective member of a team. The second big problem with parses is that they are an individual score assigned to something that is highly influenced by external factors outside of the control of the individual.
This is very true. Like in high-level parsing, what really matters a lot is your kill time, and then there are certain kill time thresholds that will yield more DPS. Certain, like, if more ads spawn, a kill time that's longer is better, or a kill time within like the kill times closer to different 40-second intervals in the fight are going to be higher. It's very common.
This external factor here is kill time for bosses.
Yep.
This has a big influence because every class has some
I know.
damage
He knows.
cooldown that only lasts a short time. A faster kill means each player spends a larger percentage of time with powerful buffs like heroism or metamorphosis or adrenaline rush active, which has a pretty substantial impact on their overall damage per second. What this means is you can have a good player who makes all their own decisions optimally for damage output, but they're stuck in a raid group with people who are not performing as well or not really investing in optimizing their characters. The slow kill times of the raid have a significant negative impact on the good player's parse ranking, while having little or nothing to do with the skill of the player. Similarly...
Oh, absolutely. And it's the same with like AoEing ads or doing anything like that. If you're supposed to be AoEing ads and you're not doing it because of the parse rules or something like that, this is clearly playing for a reason that's other than the actual boss kill. And there are plenty of people that are good players that don't have great parses. Sure.
True.
Like, I would say people that are at like an average parse of like 30 or 40, unless they're like the tank or they're raid leading or there's like some other specific reason for that, they're probably garbage.
Yeah, this is true.
But anybody like that's
this is a point I didn't really like touch on too well in the video, which is like, like if you've got a really low parse, you are probably shit. And if you've got a like 90 plus, you are probably competent, but a 90 plus doesn't mean you're going to do all the mechanics right necessarily. It might just mean that you're good at parsing, but in general, someone with a 90 plus, like, they're going to be competent and they're going to like know what the fuck is going on. And someone who's like 30 or 40 is generally going to be stupid.
70% and above that, it could be any reason. 75 plus is purple. Yeah, whatever. I think that's fine. But yeah, if you're down there, like every boss fight is like 20%, 30%, you're probably shit at the game.
Yep.
A fairly mediocre player who does most things right, but isn't really optimizing their damage output very well in a very strong performance group. This player is likely to score even better parses than the good player in the bad raid,
Yeah, 'cause they're getting
just
carried.
because they have faster boss kill times.
Exactly.
For example, maybe the player in the fast kill time group spends
This
about
point is actually
40%
kind of a
the
thing
fight
like
with
like margins, like how much faster are you doing it, and like actually how much worse is this player. Obviously there's some wiggle room where like if the skill difference is, you know, very small, then like, and the kill time difference is very big, yeah, like obviously this is something with margins of like how big a skill difference are we talking about, how big of a kill time difference are we talking about.
active, whereas the player in the slow kill time group spends only 30% of the fight with heroism active.
And there are also circumstances where you will do better DPS with slower kill times.
I don't know
assigning
of
an individual score to something that is a team.
Too many. He talked about this earlier. I don't know of too many situations where that occurs in Wrath of the Lich King raids, but now that you mentioned it, I'm trying to think of them, and it's like, actually, if you could drag out Yogg-Saron, if you could drag out Phase 3 even longer and spawn even more Immortal Guardians and just AoE them for even longer, then probably a longer kill time on Yogg-Saron would yield a higher DPS. Although that's something that's extremely difficult for a raid group to maintain. But beating the others in the group on meters is the best feeling. That's mostly what I'm focused on, Spy. I'm gonna be honest. Like, if I'm the top of my own raid group, or near the top, I'm happy. I'm happy.
Effort is that the individual score isn't really measuring the individual's performance. It's measuring the individual's performance combined with the performance of the team they are participating in. This makes it a bad tool to evaluate the individual because it's not clear how much of that is due to the individual and how
Nobody's going to stop using Parses.
Yeah. It's true.
This is just the way WoW players are programmed.
Yep.
Do big number. Anything that gets in the way of that won't happen. So if they have to move, they won't move. If they have to hit an ad, they won't hit the ad. If they have to stop to cast a spell, it's not going to happen. You just have to play around it.
Just big
Because
number.
You can't untrain people to not parse in WoW, especially classic WoW. They will parse, and that's it. They're like bots.
They are. Oh, that's true.
how much is due to the team they are playing with. Okay, so what's the big deal? So what if some players want to plan their entire raids around a rule set invented by Warcraft logs? So what if parse rankings are not a good measure of individual player performance?
It's how everybody ranks
I think this
themselves.
both is and isn't a problem. One of the great things about World of Warcraft is there are so many different ways to enjoy the game. One of the most difficult parts about World of Warcraft is finding a group of like-minded individuals who like to enjoy the game the same way you do. There's nothing wrong with some people getting together who like to hyper-optimize their raid strategies around Warcraft logs rule set for parsing and pursuing that goal.
Totally agree with that. I think watching, like speed kills of bosses and speed kills of raids is like really cool and fun. The problem is it becomes the entire culture.
3 hairless men.
And everybody plays that way, not just those guilds.
I got a little bit left. Okay.
So plenty of high-performance teams who are smart enough to recognize that a player's parses don't tell the full story of whether they are a good player or not. I think a large part of the community both overemphasizes the importance of parses and at the same time
because it's easy.
Yeah.
You just look at the number.
You just look at the number.
Is the number high? Yeah, okay, then he's good. Oh, it's a low number? Oh, he's bad. He sucks. That guy's terrible.
Yeah.
Really understand what a parse number means or represents. I think a player's parses are far too often interpreted as a measure of that player's skill when much more than the individual player's skill factors into their parses. The overemphasis on parses often comes up in parse requirements for joining groups. This is similar to gear score requirements where group leaders want an easy way to filter out people who might not contribute much to the group's success. For this filtering function, it isn't important that parses are a perfect measure of someone's skill, just that they are the best available method. Until something better comes along, we're stuck with parse rankings being the easiest way to evaluate a player.
That's the reality, is because there's so big of a pug culture and it's so pervasive in WoW that you need a way to objectively, or to have a numerical way of evaluating people on scale, at scale.
Yeah.
Like whether it's gear score, item level, parses, or
it's like you've got to be able to
anything,
filter people.
There's going to be some way that a player is like fucking turned into a number. And that's just the way WoW is. Why is WoW like that? One of the biggest reasons why WoW is like that.
Okay, I want to hear this.
Bringing the wrong player can cost hours of time. Hours and hours and hours of extra time because somebody doesn't fucking understand it.
Yeah.
So the reason why all MMOs are like this,
you bring shit players.
There's a spectrum of it being like this, and WoW is the worst. And the reason why WoW is the worst, metagaming is stronger in MMOs that have more punishing fail states. Because if you don't have a very punishing fail state, who gives a fuck if somebody messes it up? Who cares? It doesn't really matter. But if somebody fucks up, and now you've got to wait 10 minutes to do another poll, you're going to be a lot more careful with who you're inviting.
Yep.
That's how systems and punishing mechanics create parsing culture. Is that whenever you make people punished, you punish people so much for making a mistake, you make them even more selective with who they want to invite because they don't want to have somebody who's going to make a mistake. It's just logical.
What he's saying is very true. Like, the longer it takes to recover your group from a wipe to make another attempt, the longer, like, each individual attempt takes, and someone potentially foils it, the more incentivized people are to filter people out of their groups that they think are going to fuck up. Like, the more they care about doing this. I think also it's like, I don't think you saw this as much in Classic and in TBC, or Vanilla and TBC, because, like, the content was so much easier than Ulduar that it's like, you didn't need people who've done 2 hours of homework on all the bosses in the raid to figure out what the fuck is going on. Because, like, the bosses were all basically target dummies. So, like, and like, you could just carry 5 people through a Naxxramas, and it didn't matter. Like, there were so few mechanics where, like, one person fucks up and it fucks the entire team. And also, like, the margins of how much healing you need, how much damage the raid takes, they were lax enough that you could have 5 complete morons in your 40-man raid, and it, like, wouldn't fucking matter. So it's like, it was easier to achieve success at that state of the game. So but now, with Ulduar being so much more difficult, I checked the numbers on this. 23% of guilds that have uploaded to Warcraft logs have not cleared a single hard mode. And only 24% of guilds that have uploaded to Warcraft logs have killed either Yogg 1 Light plus Algalon or Yogg 0 Light plus Algalon. There's like 75% of the people that upload to Warcraft logs haven't even cleared the raid. Like, that's insane. It's way more difficult than it's been in any previous raid tier.
It is a sad state of the game that parses are so heavily emphasized by much of the player base, especially now in Wrath of the Lich King, with such a divergence between parse optimal strategies compared to raid success optimal strategies. It feels like there are 2 different games being played. I hope that from watching this video, you've gained some understanding about what a parse ranking is and what it actually represents. I think you'll enjoy World of Warcraft a lot more not caring about parses than trying to chase convoluted strategies based around Warcraft logs made up rule sets.
Not gonna happen,
I don't
but
know
you
if
know.
you'll enjoy it more. I think that some people will, some people won't. That's a subjective analysis. I really enjoyed getting parses whenever I did it. Now I don't care about it. My enjoyment is about the same.
Thanks for watching The Simonize Show. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Can't wait for more sweet videos.
Wait,
Links
he
are on
reads
screen
one of
for
the
you to
comments
watch
below,
right
which is
now.
hilarious.
Be sure to join the Discord server and pop by on Twitch to catch me live. Links to both are in the video description. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.
This is a really good video. I actually really liked him. Like, everybody was like memeing on him, like looking at the camera. But I think this guy just, all he did was he spent 10 minutes spitting pure fucking facts.
Let's go!
There's nothing that he said except for maybe in the end that you'll have more fun without Parses that I would disagree with at all.
Yeah, that, but to be fair, that is subjective.
Abso-fucking-lutely, yeah. Yeah, there you go. There's the video. I'm gonna 100% fucking support this one. This is a great video.